All right, let's get right into it. If you're watching global security, your eyes are probably on the Middle East, and for a pretty big reason. There are these reports flying around about a new long-range missile from Iran, and it's kicking up a whole lot of dust. So in this explainer, we're going to try to cut through the noise, deconstruct the headlines, and really understand the strategy behind all the talk. And it all kicks off with this number: 2,600 kilometers. That's the supposed range of a new Iranian weapon system that's been making the rounds online. But what does a number like that really mean? Is it a hard technical fact, or is it more of a political message? That's the big question we're going to tackle today.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at the claim itself. Then we'll try to fact-check the technology. After that, we'll get into Iran's whole strategy of deterrence, look at the tense standoff between Iran, the US, and Israel, and finally, we'll zoom out to see the bigger picture of what all this signaling really means.
Okay, so first things first, what's the actual headline that's got everyone's attention? Let's unpack the report that started this entire conversation. The gist of it is this. There are reports, posts and videos circulating online that seem to show a new Iranian weapon system, and the detail that's making waves is its stated range, about 2,600 kilometers. That's a pretty big number, and it's popping up at a time when things in the region are already incredibly tense.
And you have to remember, this is all happening on a very crowded stage. You've got Iran, led by Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei and President Masoud Pezeshkian. You've got the United States, which is constantly dealing with friction and diplomacy in the region. And of course, you have Israel, which is locked in this long-running strategic conflict with Iran. These are the three main players, and their moves really define the entire game.
All right, so we've got the claim. Now for the hard part. How much of this is real, confirmed technology, and how much is, well, just strategic talk? Let's try to separate the rhetoric from the reality. So first, a little bit of crucial context. A missile with a 2,600-kilometer range falls into a specific category. It's an intermediate-range ballistic missile, or an IRBM. Now, this is not an intercontinental ballistic missile, an ICBM, which can travel over 5,500 kilometers, and that difference is huge. An IRBM is a major regional threat, for sure, but it's not something that can cross continents and hit, say, the United States. And this is where it gets really interesting, because you can see the gap right here. On one side, you've got Iranian state media talking up these advanced capabilities. But on the other side, independent analysts are basically saying, hey, hold on a second. They point out that there's no official word from Iran's Ministry of Defense, and frankly, it's super hard for anyone on the outside to tell if this is a genuine breakthrough or just a small upgrade that's being sold as a giant leap forward. And this really grounds the conversation. To put this new claim into perspective, you have to look at what we know Iran has. We have verified systems, like their Goddard missile, and those have confirmed ranges in the ballpark of 1,600 to 2,000 kilometers. So this jump to 2,600 kilometers would be a pretty significant one, and for now, it's a jump that's still unverified. Okay, so if the tech isn't fully confirmed, it raises a really important question. Why make these claims at all? And this is where we shift from thinking about hardware to thinking about strategy.
Right. The crucial thing to understand here is that for Iran, its missile program isn't really seen as an offensive tool. From their perspective, it's the absolute cornerstone of their national defense. It's the main thing they use for deterrence. It's designed to make any potential enemy think twice, and then think again before launching an attack.
And the messaging around this is anything but subtle. A senior defense official was recently quoted in Iranian media saying, quote, "If enemy powers attack our installations, we will respond with force." I mean, it doesn't get much clearer than that. It's a very public, very direct threat of retaliation. And this kind of message, this projection of strength, it's actually for multiple audiences at once. On the outside, it's meant to warn off adversaries, but on the inside, it's a way to prove they can be self-reliant despite all the sanctions. And that's a huge boost for national pride. And for the whole world, it's a signal that no matter the pressure, Iran sees itself as a resilient and capable player. So let's widen our view a bit to the full geopolitical chessboard, because this isn't just about Iran in a vacuum. It's about this incredibly complex and often really dangerous dance between these three major actors. And you can see just how fast things can change. The source material points to a recent history that includes direct missile exchanges, like back in April 2024. Just in the last few days, the US military shot down an Iranian drone. But at the exact same time, you have Iran's president making statements about being open to negotiations. It's this constant push and pull between confrontation and communication. This whole dynamics has led analysts to come up with a phrase for it: a state of neither war nor peace. You get these flare-ups and constant strategic competition, but it just hasn't tipped over into a full-blown war. It's just this tense, simmering standoff that never really goes away. And that brings us to our final section, and really the main point of this whole explainer. This is about so much more than military hardware. It's about messaging. You see, for policymakers in Washington, Jerusalem, and other capitals, the number one concern isn't just how far a missile can fly. It's trying to figure out Iran's real intent. It's wondering about the reliability of their command and control systems. And most of all, it's the massive, massive risk that someone, on any side, could miscalculate and accidentally trigger a much wider conflict. And this all feeds into a pretty dangerous cycle. It goes something like this. Iran shows off its strength. Its adversaries react by beefing up their own military readiness. Iran then sees that as a threat, which makes them feel like they need to show even more strength. Mistrust just spirals, the space for diplomacy shrinks, and you're left with a classic security dilemma playing out in real time. But, and this is a final, really important point, all of this public flexing is often just one part of the story. Behind the scenes, there's frequently a second track running. Quiet, private, back-channel diplomacy. History shows us that even when tensions are sky high, communication lines usually stay open because everybody understands just how catastrophic it would be if things spiraled out of control. Which really leaves us with this final question to think about. In a region where military parades are a form of communication and every single move is seen as a signal, the line between posturing and actual preparation gets dangerously blurry. The ultimate question, then, is a tough one. Can the quiet work of diplomacy move fast enough to stop the loud cycle of threats and prevent one fatal miscalculation?